Software factory, people, structure, and the communication API. The same company, 5 years and 5 crises later. Each of those crises forced new roles, new management layers, and a complete rebuild of communication. In the previous episode, we described 4 dimensions of the software factory: people, processes, SDLC, infrastructure. A CI/CD pipeline is configured once and runs deterministically. The people dimension is fundamentally different. People have ambitions, emotions, and career paths you can't configure with a YAML file. Today we go inside that dimension. I'll walk you through 5 acts of organizational growth from 1 person to 200. At each stage, different roles, different decision matrices, and a different communication architecture. And at the end, you'll see why this people map is a ready-made blueprint for designing AI agents. What the people dimension is, an engineering organization is a distributed system with API interfaces. Every role functions like a microservice with a defined contract, inputs, outputs, and communication protocols. The engineering manager is an API gateway routing people matters. The tech lead is an API gateway routing technical decisions. The RACI matrix is the permission matrix. Who has the right to call which endpoint? Team API is the team's contract. It defines what the team owns, what services it provides, how to communicate with it, and who the current Batman is, the rotating on-call. Communication channels don't carry generic names like help it. They carry precise patterns. Platform auth support. Stream, checkout, ask. Every channel shows who is Batman that week. Other teams don't need to ask who's responsible, because the answer is in the documentation. We start in the garage. 1 person, 1 code base, 0 formal processes. Act 1. The garage. From 1 to 10 people. In the garage phase, the CTO writes code 80% of the time. They simultaneously fill the roles of architect, manager, and recruiter. Working alongside them are 2 to 8 generalist engineers. Everyone knows the full code base. Communication is oral and direct. Processes are minimal. Deployment is often manual. It sounds like paradise. It is, until the team exceeds 8 people. With 5 people, there are 10 communication paths. With 10, 45. With 15, 105. This doesn't grow linearly. It grows combinatorially. Tribal knowledge stops working because you can't keep track of everything. And the CTO, who codes 80% of the time, has no space to manage people. When the team reaches 6 to 8 engineers, the CTO should reduce coding to 20% and start delegating to emerging tech leads. At 12 to 15 engineers, the organization hires its first dedicated engineering manager. This is the first crisis, the transition from everything in one to a division of responsibility. Promoting the best programmer on the team to manager means losing an outstanding individual contributor and gaining a frustrated leader. This is where the most important fork in the history of every engineering organization appears. The EM versus tech lead fork. In a mature organization, 1 person takes care of people, another handles technology. The engineering manager is responsible for the people domain. Their product is the team itself, not the code. They run regular one-on-one sessions, map out career paths, recruit talent, and resolve interpersonal conflicts. They are the orchestra conductor who doesn't play any instrument, but on whom it depends whether the orchestra plays symphonically. The tech lead is responsible for the systems domain: architecture, code review, technical standards, technical mentoring. This is a role, not a title, typically assigned to a senior or staff engineer. The tech lead spends typically 20 to 30% of their time coding, The rest goes to design sessions, writing ADRs, and negotiating API contracts between teams. The critical difference. The EM talks to people about their growth, goals, and blockers. The tech lead talks to people about architecture, technical debt, and implementation decisions. The EM doesn't define database details. The tech lead doesn't approve vacation requests. The optimal span of control for an EM is 5 to 9 people, with the sweet spot at 7 to 9. Below 3 reports, a manager is effectively redundant. Above 15, coaching quality drops sharply. Combining both roles in one person works up to around 7 or 8 people. Above that threshold, it's an antipattern, leading to systemic cognitive overload. People who don't want to manage others, but do want to grow professionally, have the dual-track career available to them. 2 parallel tracks: IC, the individual contributor and technical expert, and management, people leadership. Senior engineer is the inflection point. From there, either left, EM, director, VP engineering, CTO, or right, staff engineer, principal engineer, distinguished engineer. Identified 4 staff engineer archetypes. The tech lead guiding a team technically. The architect responsible for cross-team architecture. The solver thrown at the hardest problems. The right hand serving as the right hand of senior executives. The key shift at this level. Radius of influence must extend beyond direct work. Without this role, organizations lose their best engineers to management or to competitors. These tracks are equivalent in terms of impact. Staff engineer is the counterpart to director. Principal is the counterpart to VP. Distinguished engineer is the counterpart to CTO. This isn't hierarchy, it's symmetry of influence. Dual track isn't an organizational option, it's a structural necessity. But roles alone aren't enough. You also need to know who decides what. RACI. Who decides what? The RACI matrix is the organization's permission matrix. Responsible does the work. Accountable owns the outcome. Consulted is asked before the decision. Informed learns about it afterward. One fundamental rule: every process has exactly one accountable. When everyone is responsible, no one is responsible. When 2 people are accountable, neither of them will make a decision at a critical moment. 5 key processes. Product planning. The product manager is accountable for the PRD and roadmap. CTO and VP engineering are consulted on feasibility. Architecture decisions. The tech lead is accountable within the team. In organizations above 80 people, the architect is accountable for cross-team decisions. Production release. DevOps is responsible for the pipeline. The EM is accountable for the go, no-go decision. Priority 1 incident. Here, RACI works like escalation with precise time windows. SRE is responsible for detection and triage. EM is accountable for resolution. Typical escalation path. On-call engineer within 5 minutes. Secondary on-call within 10 minutes. EM within 15 minutes. VP engineering within 30 minutes. Blameless postmortem within 48 hours. 5th process. Hiring. EM is accountable for IC level recruiting. VP is accountable for manager level recruiting. Tech lead is responsible for the technical interview. Key insight. RACI evolves with organizational size. At 10 people, the CTO is accountable for everything. At 100, accountable is distributed across many leaders. RACI defines who decides. The next question is how those people actually communicate. Human API. How information flows. In a mature organization, every team publishes a team API. It's a contract defining what the team owns, what services it provides, how to communicate with it, and who the current Batman is, the rotating duty officer. Communication channels don't carry generic names like help it. They carry precise patterns. Platform of support. Stream checkout ask. Every channel shows who is Batman that week. Other teams don't need to ask who's responsible, because the answer is in the documentation. Communication evolves across 4 approximate stages. At 1 to 10 people, flat synchronous communication dominates. Tribal knowledge. Everyone knows everything. At 11 to 30 people, Scrum ceremonies appear, along with the first PRDs and the first tickets. At 31 to 80 people, team APIs, ADRs, and RFCs are introduced. Communication becomes structural. At 81 to 200 people, the organization shifts to async first, formal human API, handbook first approach. GitLab is the benchmark for this approach. 2,700 pages of public handbook, updated via merge requests exactly the same way as code. Async first means documentation takes priority over meetings. Escalation paths work like a circuit breaker. An engineer escalates to the tech lead after 2 to 4 hours. The tech lead escalates to the EM on cross-team blockers. The EM escalates to VP engineering on business risk. The VP escalates to the CTO on strategic decisions. Signals that an organization needs to move from sync first to async first. Calendars packed with meetings. Engineers complaining about no time for deep work. Decisions made in hallways instead of documents. Beyond 150 people. Dunbar's number. People stop knowing each other. Chapters appear. Groups of specialists in the same discipline. Guilds appear. Voluntary interest groups. These communication structures look different depending on one variable: what type of organization you're in. 3 organizational models. The same roles, radically different distribution of power. Think sedan, SUV, and truck. The same parts, different configuration. Product house. Figma, Notion, Atlassian. Engineering is the business. The trio of product manager plus tech lead plus design is the decision-making standard. Continuous deployment, A/B testing, OKR-driven planning. SaaS margins range from 70 to 90%. Netflix spent over 24 years hiring exclusively senior engineers. It wasn't until 2022 that it introduced junior levels. Core tension. Ship fast versus build right. Software house. STX Next, NetGuru. Dual power. Internal and client side. The client acts as product owner. Delivery manager is the central role. Revenue is billable hours. The operational goal is a utilization rate of 70 to 85%. Margins typically 30 to 60%. Core tension. Feast or famine and context switching between projects. Corporate IT. Banks, insurers. IT is a support function, not the core business. PMO controls budgets. CAB approves changes. ITIL governs everything. Business analyst is highly prominent, translating business needs into requirements. Core tension. Agile declared on paper, waterfall in practice in disguise. The lesson? Don't copy organizational models from a product house into a software house. Even Spotify didn't fully implement its own model. Nyberg and Ivarsson described it with the caveat that it was a snapshot mid-journey, not the destination. Regardless of the organizational model, this map of people, RACI, and communication protocols is something more than an org chart. A role is an agent class, a human organization with all its roles, RACI matrices, team API contracts, and communication protocols is a ready-made specification for a multi-agent AI system. The mapping is direct. A role is an agent class. RACI is the agent's permission matrix. Team API is the agent interface. The communication protocol, RFC, ADR, ceremonies, is the agent-to-agent protocol. The engineering manager is a people agent routing human matters. The tech lead is an architecture agent making technical decisions. Batman is the incident router agent. Every arrow in the RACI matrix is a permitted communication channel between agents. There's no need to invent an agent architecture from scratch. It needs to be read from the human organization. Human organizations evolved over decades to reach an optimal structure. That baseline, that map without AI, is the foundation we'll build on. This isn't the topic of this episode. It's a teaser for future episodes. Summary. 5 key takeaways. First, the EM versus tech lead fork isn't optional. It's a necessity above 8 people. Combining both roles leads to talent loss and cognitive overload. Second, RACI with the single accountable rule eliminates decision chaos. Every process has exactly one owner. Third, Kim API is the team's contract. Without it, the organization drowns in communication noise. Fourth, communication evolves from synchronous at 10 people to asynchronous at 200. Ignoring that threshold means calendars full of meetings and zero deep work. Fifth, this people map is a direct blueprint for designing AI agents. Role equals agent, RACI equals permissions, Team API equals agent interface. 3 immediate actions. Separate EM from tech lead. Implement RACI for 5 key processes. Write your team's Team API. These 3 steps immediately reduce organizational chaos. If this framework helped you understand how to build an engineering organization, subscribe to the channel. In the next episode, we'll apply this map to AI agents. 5 acts, 5 crises, 1 blueprint. First for people, then for agents.